Hello and welcome back to NEET Prep Go. So today we'll be doing another chapter, chemical coordination and integration. You have already learned that neural system provides us a point-to-point rapid coordination among organs. So because of neural system, that is because of our nerves and our entire neural system, that is brain and neurons, we have a point-to-point rapid coordination among organs. The neural coordination is fast, but it is short-lived. So even though the neural coordination is very fast, still it is short-lived. It doesn't last for a long time, as the nerve fibers do not innervate all the cells of the body. So they are not inside or embedded into each and every cell of the body, and the cellular functions need to be continuously regulated. A special kind of coordination and integration has to be provided. The function is carried out by hormones. So since the neurons are not innervated into each and every cell of our body, therefore they all the cellular functions need to be continuously regulated, and this continuous coordination and integration, it is of a special kind, and it is carried out by hormones. The neural system and the endocrine system jointly coordinate and regulate the physiological functions of our body. So the physiological functions of our body, they are coordinated by which systems? Is it only neural system? No. Is it only your endocrine system? No, it is your endocrine as well as neural system, both jointly coordinate and regulate the physiological functions in the body. Endocrine glands and hormones. Endocrine glands lack ducts, and hence they are called as ductless glands. So our endocrine glands, there are two types of glands, that is endocrine glands and exocrine glands. Exocrine glands, they basically help in secretion of enzymes, whereas endocrine glands, they secrete hormones. Exocrine glands, that is, they secrete enzymes through ducts, whereas endocrine glands, they lack ducts, and therefore they are called as ductless glands. Their secretions are called as hormones. So the secretions of endocrine gland is called as hormone. What is the classical definition of hormone? As a chemical produced by endocrine gland and released into the blood and transported to a distantly located target organ, has scientific definition as follows. So classical definition of hormone is that as a chemical, it is produced by endocrine gland, it is released directly into the blood, not into any duct such as blood vessel, vein or capillary or anything like that, or any tube or something. It is directly released into the blood, that is cavity, and transported to a distantly located target organ. So it is transported to a distantly located target organ, and it has current scientific definition as hormones are non-nutrient chemicals which act as intercellular messengers between the two cells, intercellular messengers, and they are produced in trace amount. So hormones are non-nutrient chemicals, they act as intercellular messengers, and they are produced in trace amounts, very small trace amounts. Then new definition covers a number of new molecules in addition to the hormones secreted by the organized endocrine gland. Invertebrates, that is those who do not have a vertebral column, they possess very simple endocrine systems with few hormones, whereas a large number of chemicals act as hormones and provide coordination in the vertebrates. So invertebrates, they possess very simple endocrine system and they have few hormones, whereas a large number of chemicals act as hormones and provide coordination in the vertebrates. Invertebrates have a very simple endocrine system and very few hormones, whereas a large number of chemicals act as hormones and provide coordination in vertebrates. So invertebrates also have hormones, but very simple endocrine system and very few hormones. In vertebrate organism, there are a lot of chemicals which act as hormones, and they provide coordination in the vertebrates. The human endocrine system is described here. So in this chapter, first we will learn the human endocrine system. Now the human endocrine system and the hormone producing diffuse tissues or cells. So hormone producing diffuse tissues by tissues or cells located in different parts of our body constitute the endocrine system. So our endocrine system, it is constituted by endocrine glands and hormone producing diffuse tissues or the cells which secrete the hormone located in different parts of our body. Firstly, pituitary gland which is present below our brain, that in our brain below our hypothalamus. Then your pineal gland, which is present on the dorsal side of our forebrain, that is your behind eyes, you can say. Then thyroid gland, which is present in your neck region, then adrenal gland, which is present on the anterior part of your kidneys, then pancreas, which is present below your J-shaped muscular bag, that is uh, in the gap of the C-shaped duodenum. Then parathyroid gland, again present with the thyroid gland in the neck region only. Then thymus, it is present that is behind the sternum near the heart, or I think below the sternum, yeah. I think, yeah, below the sternum, near the heart. Then gonads, that is testes in males and ovaries in females. They are present in your lower abdomen, and they are organized endocrine bodies in our body. So we have firstly pituitary gland, then secondly pineal gland, then third thyroid, then fourth parathyroid, then fifth pituitary gland, pineal gland, thyroid gland, parathyroid gland, thymus, then gonads, then adrenal gland, and lastly pancreas. So in addition to these, some other organs, example gastrointestinal tract, liver, kidney, heart, also produce some hormones. So what are the other organs apart from these main endocrine systems which um, produce hormone? That is your gastrointestinal tract, liver, kidney and heart. Kidney produces renin. Your liver and your heart produces ANF, atrial natriuretic factor. So, a brief account of the structure and functions of all major endocrine glands and hypothalamus of the human body is given in the following sections. So, apart from your 8 main endocrine systems, what are the other organs in our body which produce hormones? That is gastrointestinal tract, liver, kidney and heart. Now firstly we come to hypothalamus. As you know, the hypothalamus is the basal part of diencephalon, which is present in forebrain. So what is the location of hypothalamus? It is the basal part of hypothalamus which is present that is in forebrain, and it regulates a wide spectrum of body function. It contains several groups of neurosecretory cells called nuclei which produce hormones. So hypothalamus is the basal part of diencephalon which is present in the forebrain. It regulates a wide spectrum of our body functions. It contains several groups of neurosecretory cells, and these neurosecretory cells are called as nuclei. These neurosecretory cells are called as nuclei and they produce hormones. So basically, hypothalamus is the basal part of diencephalon in forebrain. It regulates a wide spectrum of body function. It contains several groups of neurosecretory cells. These neurosecretory cells are called as nuclei and they produce hormones. These hormones regulate the synthesis and secretion of pituitary hormones. So what do these hormones do? They regulate the synthesis of pituitary and secretion of pituitary hormones. However, the hormones produced by hypothalamus are of two types. Firstly, the releasing hormones which stimulate the secretion of pituitary hormones, and second, the inhibiting hormone which inhibit the secretion of pituitary hormones. So the hormones which are secreted by hypothalamus, their main function is to stimulate the regulate, that is the synthesis and secretion of the pituitarian hormones. They themselves don't have an effect on the body. Those hormones have an effect on the pituitarian hormones which have an effect on the body. So there are two types. So the neurosecretory cells called as nuclei, they secrete these hormones which basically um, regulate the synthesis and secretion of the pituitarian hormones, and these hormones these regulating hormones are of two types. Firstly, the releasing hormones, that is which stimulate the secretion of pituitarian hormones, and secondly the inhibiting hormones which inhibit the secretion of pituitarian hormones. For example, hypothalamic hormone which we have read in human reproduction is GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormone. GnRH, it stimulates the the pituitary to release the pituitary synthesis and release of gonadotropin. On the other hand, somatostatin. So when you must remember that is in the Graafian follicle stage, when the granulosa cells increase a lot in number, then each granulosa cell it secretes estrogen, and estrogen becomes very high in the body. The moment it becomes very high in the body, that is it stimulates the hypothalamus to release GnRH. This GnRH then goes to the anterior pituitary and stimulates the anterior pituitary to release LH in very big amount. This is called as LH surge, and hence ovulation occurs. Similarly, FSH and LH are also released because on reaching puberty, your gonadotropin releasing hormone released by hypothalamus, it stimulates the anterior pituitary to release FSH and LH. So on the other hand, now somatostatin from the hypothalamus inhibits the release of growth hormone from the pituitary. So this is the first one, that is example of stimulating hormone, that is GnRH, which stimulates the anterior pituitary to release gonadotropin releasing hormones, or gonadotropins. Sorry, not gonadotropin releasing hormone. Gonadotropin releasing hormone stimulates the pituitary to synthesize and release gonadotropins. On the other hand, somatostatin from the hypothalamus inhibits the release of growth hormone. Somatostatin from the hypothalamus, it basically inhibits the release of growth hormone from the pituitary. So growth hormone from the pituitary, it is inhibited by somatostatin from the hypothalamus. Okay. Now these hormones originating in the hypothalamic neurons, they pass through the axon and they are released from their nerve endings. So these hormones, this is an important line, these hormones originating in the hypothalamic neuron, they pass through the axon and they are released from their nerve endings. So this is the direction of the synaptic vesicles. So this is the direction in which the that is the signal goes, that is they pass through the axon and then they are released from their nerve endings. These hormones reach the pituitary gland through a portal circulatory system and regulate the functions of the anterior pituitary. So these hormones, they reach the pituitary gland through a portal circulatory system and regulate the functions of anterior pituitary. Posterior pituitary is under direct neural regulation of the hypothalamus. These are also very important lines. That is, these hormones, they reach the pituitary gland. How? Through a portal circulatory system, and then they regulate the functions of anterior pituitary. So through a portal circulatory system, they reach the anterior pituitary and regulate the functions. They reach the pituitary and regulate the function of the anterior pituitary. The posterior pituitary is under direct neural regulation of the hypothalamus. Why? Because the posterior pituitary itself does not produce or synthesize any hormone, it just stores the hormone. So now we come to pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is located in a bony cavity which is called as sella turcica, and it is attached to hypothalamus by a stalk. So pituitary gland is located in a bony cavity which is called as sella turcica, and it is attached to hypothalamus by a stalk. It is divided anatomically into adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis. Adenohypophysis, the anterior pituitary, consists of two portions, pars distalis and pars intermedia. Pars distalis region of pituitary is commonly called as anterior pituitary. It releases growth hormone, prolactin, thyroid stimulating hormone, adrenocorticotropic hormone, and luteinizing hormone, and follicle stimulating hormone. Pars intermedia only secretes one hormone, which is melanocyte stimulating hormone, MSH. However, in humans, the pars intermedia is almost merged with the pars distalis. Everything over here is important. So firstly, this was hypothalamus. Where was hypothalamus located? That is at the base of diencephalon. At the base of diencephalon in forebrain. Now, it had neurosecretory cells called as nuclei, which basically synthesized hormones which regulated the pituitarian hormones. And the first one was the hormone was the releasing hormone, which which stimulated that is a pituitary gland to release. The second one was inhibiting, that is these hormones, they stimulated pituitary to inhibit the secretion of pituitarian hormones. Now see, this is the anterior pituitary consisting of your pars intermedia and pars distalis. So the anterior pituitary, it is joined to the hypothalamus. So firstly, the pituitary gland is joined to the hypothalamus with the help of a stalk. Then secondly, the anterior pituitary, this is the anterior pituitary. This anterior pituitary is joined to the hypothalamus via a portal system. Via a portal circulatory system, and regulate the functions of the anterior pituitary via a portal circulatory system. Portal circulation via a portal circulatory system. Whereas your posterior pituitary, it is under direct neural regulation of hypothalamus. Okay, so in that, now anterior pituitary is also called as adenohypophysis. So this is anterior pituitary, it is also called as adenohypophysis. This is posterior pituitary, it is also called as neurohypophysis. Adenohypophysis, neurohypophysis. Now adenohypophysis has two regions, that is pars distalis and pars intermedia. So the most important part out of both of this is pars distalis, which is also commonly called as anterior pituitary. Okay, sorry, adenohypophysis consists of two portions. Out of this, okay, adenohypophysis consists of two portions, pars distalis and pars intermedia. Out of this, pars distalis is also called as anterior pituitary, which produces your growth hormone GH, then prolactin PRL, thyroid stimulating hormone TSH, adrenocorticotropic hormone ACTH, utilizing hormone LH, and follicle stimulating hormone FSH. Pars intermedia, it only releases one, melanocyte stimulating hormone MSH. However, in humans, pars intermedia is almost merged with your pars distalis. Then comes neurohypophysis or pars nervosa. Neurohypophysis is called as pars nervosa. It is also known as posterior pituitary. It stores and releases two hormones, that is oxytocin and vasopressin. Posterior pituitary, also called as pars nervosa or neurohypophysis, it basically stores and releases two hormones, oxytocin and vasopressin, which are actually synthesized by hypothalamus, and they are transported axonally to neurohypophysis. So neurohypophysis is also called as pars nervosa. It is also known as posterior pituitary. It does not synthesize. It just stores and releases two hormones, oxytocin and vasopressin. They are actually synthesized by the hypothalamus, and they are transported axonally to neurohypophysis. Oversecretion of growth hormone stimulates abnormal growth of the body, leading to gigantism, and low secretion of growth hormone results in stunted growth, resulting to pituitary dwarfism. So overstimulation of growth hormone leads to abnormal growth of the body, which leads to gigantism, and low secretion of growth hormone leads to stunted growth, pituitary dwarfism. I'm so sorry.